And I hope that everyone here at least walks away with one good idea today. So now what I'd like to do is move to our panel and introduce, of course, Brandon. Chuck Walls, you can please come up. Donna Walls. I'm going to have them introduce themselves when they.
Should I stay here, Louisa? Okay.
Yes, yeah, you can stay right there, Brandon, if you'd like. Jennifer Zuckerman. And then we have Wallace. We also have two members that are online with us, and that is Stephanie Brennell, who's a Family Advisory Committee member. Okay. And Marisol Carmona, who will both Jennifer and Stephanie and Marisol will be online with us. For now, let's go ahead and Brandon, I know you spoke to where you work and you want to speak to your vision and your best assistive technology tool. How's that?
So I'll say I'm totally blind. And I've been for as long as I can remember. So maybe I had some vision, but I don't remember it. So I'm going to pick three assistive technology. Well, four that are the best for me. I hope that's okay. My cane is obviously the biggest one. My GPS and compass is number two. And then the Linux desktop with Orca is going to be my third assistive technology tool that really helps me. These are the things that help me get through life. And I will say, I just want to add, I didn't speak much to magnification tools, but there are some folks who are low vision here who have a lot more experience with them. So if you do have questions about those, you should ask the panel and other folks can answer those questions.
Thank you. Donna.
I am Donna Walls. I'm the mother of 4 boys. One has excellent retinostasis, life of Chuck, and a special education teacher.
Thank you. Wallace.
Hello, my name is Wallace Stuckey, and I'm currently a master's student at King's College London. In terms of my vision, I have retinopathy of prematurity, and my vision has been fairly stable for quite a long time, really since I was in about kindergarten. But it's enough too with my left eye is a strong one to kind of navigate most situations and be able to walk through a room or through up and down steps all right, but not enough to, let's say, like read a sign, something like that. So when I was listening to Brandon's presentation and what the doctors were saying earlier and learning all of the tools to use, I think I'll echo that that's very important because you want to use the best tool for the situation that you need to get accomplished. And there are some times where using the vision that you do have is appropriate and great, but there are other times when that wouldn't be a good use of what you have. And a screen reader, for example, would be the best way to accomplish something. So I think in terms of the best tool that I have, it's probably the iPhone because there are so many assistive technology tools on that I use, but also like even Braille, I learned it when I was really little. It's still extremely useful and really important.
Thank you. Jennifer.
Jennifer Zuckerman. I am a junior at LSU. I also have ROP. I do have a little bit more vision than Wallace, so I guess to put it in perspective, I can make out the people sitting here in the front row, maybe a little few in the second row. I could read the print on these signs if I was about a foot away. I agree with Wallace absolutely, and what Brandon mentioned earlier, better vision. I use my phone and iPad and computer all of this week. Just to classwork situations or in everyday situations, but it's all throughout. When I'm growing up, I was Brennell and he's a high school. I had a lot of experience with getting some PC, TV, or virus. I'd be happy to speak to those perspectives of using normally what we would think of when we go to the assistive technology versus.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chuck Walls, and I'm a member of the PRRF, I'm partner with Lisa, with the County Advisory Committee. I have a chance of, so how he has slate retinoschisis. And I think we could call up right now, we can obviously it's not.
So, I don't understand why we're getting it. You've got to have something coming in.
So, we also zooming in on things and so, you know, good.
It's not coming.
Thank you. Now let's go online. Stephanie, want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Stephanie Brennell. My husband and I live in Virginia. We have 3 boys, and our 11-year-old son, Sean, was born with Nori disease. We think he may have some degree of light perception. But beyond that, we don't believe he really has any usable vision right now beyond some light perception. He is not really using any type of assistive technology right now, other than he has been doing some work with a communication device at school, but that is due to his autism. He's also autistic. He has level 3 profound autism. So the communication device is linked to his autism, has nothing to do with his limited eyesight. As he gets older, I don't know what he's going to be capable of in terms of utilizing different types of assistive technology that are out there, but we're certainly interested in learning about different tools and things like that. And hopefully, as he grows up, hopefully he'll be able to take advantage of some of these different options.
Thank you. And last, Marisol.
Let's come through here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marisol Carmona. I am zooming in from Washington, D.C. I am a person who is blind. I have Leber's congenital amaurosis. So I've been blind from birth. I have some functional vision, very, very little, mostly just light perception. And in my professional world, I work very closely with youth and families in the transition phase, getting them ready for what comes next after high school. So I do a lot of work coaching parents as well as students. I'm a master's level trained social worker, and I'm really happy to be here. Oh, and my technology, my preferred technology is definitely, as a lot of folks have said here, the iPhone. 100%. I do a lot of relying on apps for navigation and doing different things. And in my Windows-based laptop with JAWS, the screen reader, that's what I utilize to do all of my work.
thank you. So that's the panel.
Does anybody have any questions before I go to submitted questions from our audience here?
No.
I also want to point out that the Clinton Township Library has a space for the blind right in their library, and they do have a table here. So sometime today, we can take a look and see what they have available that I think folks can check out.
Yeah.
A lot of people mention iPhones. Is it the same for Samsung? Do they not have as many apps, or I'm not using the right word, but why is iPhone superior to Android? Android, thank you.
I think absolutely funny. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear just fine now. But Apple made a conscious effort early in the technology development when the iPhone first came out in 2007 to kind of lock down the visually declining market, and they've been very successful at that. And people use a piece of technology, and if it works, they just stick with it, keep at it. So Android does have through TalkBack, which is their screen reader. I've heard it's quite good, and people that haven't like it, but it's right here. When the first impressions matter. And so that's at least how it's been. I know it's a pretty representative sample. Yeah, everyone's talking about iPhone.
Yeah, and for those online,
Stephanie, if there's a question you want to answer, please raise your hand. As well as that hand here.
This is very not bad. In addition to what Wallace said, I think because iPhone, Apple originally made the initial effort on accessibility, and more blind people have iPhones. When companies are looking at investing in accessibility and making their apps accessible, they look at the statistics and say, like, 90 or more percent of blind people have iPhones, so that's where we're gonna invest most of our accessibility efforts. I can't say that for sure about every company. But I think also a bit of a problem with Android is every Android manufacturer develops like different skins. Samsung, like Google has Android is one thing, but then Samsung devices look different, and HTC devices look different, and Huawei devices look yet different. And these different skins that are put over top of Android work with the screen readers in different ways. Sometimes the manufacturers make them work with the TalkBack screen reader in the Zoom programs, and sometimes they don't. So I just think all these things what Wallace mentioned and what I'm saying here together, these things kind of add up to have made, I think, Apple the preferred platform.
Great question. Yes.
Brandon, is there any use of the Apple Watch to integrate with the phone as well? Is that a technology that's you can take advantage of?
All I can say is I absolutely think that this is useful. I don't have it, but hopefully someone else on the panel can, maybe who has one, can speak to their use of this. I know blind people love them. I don't have one, but hopefully someone else can speak to it.
Any takers? Okay, that's your answer. Oh, we have a question.
I have one more question for Wallace and Brandon. Does the Android phone do Braille like the Apple phone does? You know, when you turn the phone sideways, you can do Braille on the iPhone, but does that work on the Android?
TalkBack does have Braille entry now. I haven't tried. I haven't kept up to date on TalkBack as I should. I tried it a little bit and it did work, so it is there now. Yeah, it is there. I don't know if all the functionalities there as much as the iPhone, but they definitely do have Braille now. To turn the phone. What she's saying is you can like turn your phone sideways, hold the phone like this with the screen away from you, and sort of what I'm doing for folks who may not be able to see in the audience is I'm holding my hands with my thumbs up in the air and my palms toward me and my little fingers sort of bent inwards. And so your little fingers and your thumbs kind of support the phone, and your pointer, middle, and ring fingers are on the screen of the phone, and you can sort of tap in Braille input into the Android and iPhone, and so this lets you sort of not have to use the touch screen to find the letters.
All right, let's go to some. Oh, we have another question.
Well, this is
Okay.
along the same line. Just wondered, we hear all this promotion about Apple glasses. Can you tell us what you heard, what you think? Is that going to be something that is going to be a device that we really have to have?
I don't know that much about the Apple glasses yet because they aren't yet on the market. A lot of people have the Meta ones, and people that have the Meta ones tend to really like them. And I've kind of tested them just for fun for a day or two and haven't felt a huge rush to get them because I feel like most of my technology needs are met with the devices I do have. But I will have another look when the Apple ones come to the market.
So a few years ago, my son Colin and I started looking at what kind of glasses technology wise were out there. And so we sampled a few that companies were willing to send to us, many of them still in kind of prototype mode. And they were, back about 5 years ago, they were pretty bulky. You had to have external power wires and you kind of wear under your shirt down to a belt and you put a battery device on there. But since then, technology's obviously improved. And so the glasses that you see back with Pearl with the Meta glasses. So the glasses are almost like regular glasses you might wear with embedded cameras and as well as batteries and software. I know for my son who's low vision, Colin has a little worse than 2200 vision. We were looking at new technologies that are out there with auto focusing. So when he looks at things and he can't see them because they're too far away, these autofocus actually zoom in for his pointing glasses. And so these are new technologies that are out there as far as prototype. They're not out there for us to buy yet, but I think probably within the next year or two, maybe we'll be able to see something like that. And I think that would be helpful for low vision people to be able to zoom in and see a little bit, make out items that maybe are blurry or signs that you can't read.
I think my questions are being answered. I was going to ask about the Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses.
Recording.
I've got, there's new generations that are coming out and I'm wondering what the difference is between one generation to the next, including the latest one. And I don't know if you folks can illuminate on that or not. I have a pair and they're very handy. I can use them to read. It's not, I can't read the Great American Novel with them because it'll sometimes say the text is cut off or the text is blurry. It's not, you can't sit down and read. At least I haven't found that I can sit down and read a book from cover to cover. But I can do spot reading very easily. And I can ask it what's right in front of me. I can, when I'm looking for an Amazon package, I can go out to my front porch and ask Meta if there's a package on the front porch, and it'll tell me if there's a package. I can use it when I'm trying to match an outfit, like the outfit I have on today. I had to match it with my Meta glasses. Pick out black shirt. And I barely use the technology. There's a lot more that it can do that I just don't even access. But those are the ways in which I use it. I use it pretty much every day for one reason or another. Dr. Capone? He's my doctor. My sight is very low vision. I would just say that. It's very low vision.
We have Pearl Vision here, who's going to tell us a little bit about these glasses, and then we're going to go to Marisol.
Hi, I am Marisol representing Pearl Vision, and with the newer technology of the Gen 2, like the lady said before, June said before, it's great for someone with low vision. With the newer technology, there's a display option, so that's going to work more for someone that's sighted. But as she said, you can ask Meta just about anything. It'll read to you, it'll help you get dressed. So everything she explained was perfect. But with the newer technology, there's a display option, which is something more for a sighted person, not so much for those sighted.
Thank you. Marisol, you had your hand up?
Yes. Yes, so I can't comment on the different generations of the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, but I do have the original ones that came out, and I find in addition to all the ways folks have already shared they use it, I use them that way as well. But in addition to that, I also pair my or sync my Meta glasses to an IRA or an app called IRA, AIRA, which is it's a live visual interpretation app. It's basically like a very professional FaceTime call with someone. And they can look through the lens on your phone's camera, but you can also, if you have the Meta glasses, you can also have the IRA agent come through on your Meta glasses, and you can be hands-free or have your hand available to use your cane and get around. So I've actually, I love traveling a lot, and I use it a lot that way in airports. So I will place an IRA call, they'll come through on the glasses, and I will, have them basically navigate me from curbside to the gate that I'm going to.
So what is, one of the questions, what is something parents often worry about that they really do not need to?
Donna, do you want to take this one?
Don't worry about it.
So I'll tell a quick story. We were in the office with Dr. Tracy, and Donna was asking Dr. Tracy to kind of explain a little bit about like what we should be worried about. Our son Colin is very active, family of 4 boys, there's a lot of tasks going on. And what sports could he play, what sports couldn't he? And Dr. Tracy always he brought up a story about one of his patients who one of the parents wanted the child to be involved in a lot of sports, but maybe not so much. In Tom's case, maybe in a big ball until maybe he was 18 and then released out to the world. The dog stuff story we call it. And so there was a pet dog that walked past and had it wagging its tail, and the tail caught the eye, and it was just such enough force, whereas it detached the retina, because for retinal schisis, the retina is very fragile. And so that was the advice that he gave us, and said it's up to you as parents to figure out what your child will participate in sports and all that. So we had a lot of negotiations. Colin wanted to play football. Of course, Mrs. Walls, that was off the table, but we were able to find flag football as a suitable alternative. So we looked hard at other sports that he could do. Swimming was one, but he was so skinny he would turn purple before he got out. So swimming was a thing for a while. That went away. Then we did cross country running was another one. So we did some for other sports that he could participate in that were not contact as our parental negotiated compromise. So I think for every family it's different, and for every child the low vision disease they have is different. So you have to kind of figure out the risks of activities.
It's way harder to worry. Like looking at the big picture now that he's 23, he'll say a lot of things, and I wish he was here, that we worry too much for him. So if I could go back, I would relax a little bit, if that's any advice at all. I mean, it was a lot to handle. And with 4 boys, there was no way they weren't going to get hit in the face and fall. They were just everywhere. So, but for your own mental health, I think if I could go back in time, I would be like, just remind myself it's all going to work out eventually. So.
Well, you answered the question I was going to ask each one of you, and that is what you wish you had known earlier in life that you know now. And let's start with you, Chuck.
Okay, something I wish I had known earlier. I think as I look back, right when we got the diagnosis, and this was a long time ago, 2007, it was, and obviously information flow is a lot different these days than it was back then. So I ended up spending weeks and weeks on the internet looking for how I could help my son. And so I like that. With the Family Advisory Committee, we look for how we can partner with family and communities to make sure that information is out there and easy to come. I remember being in a state of panic and despair combined as to how I could help my son, and not knowing really much about what is this thing called the excellent retinal schisis, and trying to figure out exactly what we as parents needed to do to help our child. And so I like that, I like that now, but now we have Family Advisory Committee, we have information on the PRRF website and people to talk to about those kind of things, especially for new families when they have that diagnosis that just kind of rocks the world. So.
Thank you. Yep. Jennifer.
Yeah, I kind of going off of what Chuck has said, but from the perspective of someone who is visually impaired instead of from a parent's perspective, you know, I never really had the opportunity when I was younger to connect with other people who were visually impaired, and I never really thought that was something I needed to do, you know. It seemed to me like my parents and my doctors had all the answers, and I had a twin sister also who is fully sighted, and we did everything together, went everywhere together. I never really, I feel like sometimes I kind of lived in a bit of a bubble, you know, where I existed with my twin sister, and I always had that comfort, which was incredible, but I feel like I wish I had known then that meeting people like Wallace and Brandon, and even meeting other parents of children who are visually impaired, how impactful that is, how much we can really learn from each other, how special it is to have the kind of community that PRRF creates. I mean, it really, you know, it helps make you more confident as someone who's visually impaired, knowing you're not the only one experiencing these things, using technology this way, you know, that maybe there are better ways to do things that you haven't thought of. You know, so many children want to feel included, and for lack of a better word, they just want to feel like everyone else. But, you know, I was that person when I was young, but having met the people here, I wish I had realized when I was younger how important that is also to really find that visually impaired community, so you can really grow as, you know, an independent person, but also rely on others who share your experiences.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Picking up from what Jennifer said, I think one thing for me that I've learned is that we've tried so many different pieces of technology, and it's okay to really like some of them and just set others aside, because nothing's ever going to be 100% on all devices. So we did like a lot of monoculars early on, like kind of magnifier aids when I was little, which we kind of tried for a while, and I didn't see kind of much impact from them. And I think in the long term, maybe it's good that we tried them, because you need to explore everything on the table. But just the notion that, yeah, it's okay to just say, no, I don't like this. Let's just set it aside and go to something that's going to work better. Because there's just a lot out there, and you definitely don't want to waste, you know, your time or whoever you're working with time trying to pursue something that isn't going to do a lot of benefit.
And I'm gonna jump on community too, so if I knew back then, and it's just so different, like the amount of years that have gone by and the changes are incredible, so yeah.
Thank you, Donna. Brandon?
It's that good. I think for me, the big one is number one is in regards to orientation and mobility. I think I had a similar experience to Jennifer growing up, although it was a bit different. I had a stepsister that sort of like kind of led me everywhere. I had like all sorts of friends in school that sort of just would like lead me around. And so like I didn't really take travel and orientation and mobility seriously, even if it was at places like when I went into band, like going to band camp, unfamiliar area, or like downtown, like I always just had a friend that like kind of understood how to help me and what I needed. And so like I always had like that person to lead me around. And then like when I got to college, right, we didn't really have that anymore. And orientation and mobility is something I really had to focus on, especially in the past 5 years. during COVID, I moved to a condo that was further away from work, and I just really didn't have the orientation mobility skills I needed to like cross the street safely, and to like navigate the area to get to my work. There were just like certain sorts of things I'd never encountered before. The ramps, that you have to cross, like the highway ramps, is a new thing for me. And I'd never been exposed to it, and I think it's because like, I didn't have the skills to be exposed to those during school, and I think going back, I would spend less time on some of the other technology things, which I think are easy to build on your own, and do more work on the orientation mobility. I never realized the importance of the compass. I don't know if other blind people, I'd really be curious if Jennifer Wallace or Marisol used the compass, but I just found it like always knowing where I want to go. The compass to me is just like the number one in travel, and I wish I'd been told that. Like, I used to map out buildings without knowing the compass, and in the past 5 to 10 years, I've started using the compass, and every like, even like, just like when I'm sitting at my dinner table, I can say what compass direction I'm facing, or like if I'm on my deck, and just the difference it's made for me as a totally blind traveler, to always know that cardinal direction. I just think it's like the number one. So those are some of the things that I think most of them relate to travel. So.
Thank you. Let's go online. Stephanie.
Thanks, Louisa. I think from a parent perspective, I think Chuck and Donna really kind of hit the nail on the head with all of their thoughts and all of their advice. For my husband Adam and I remember, 11 years ago when we found out about Sean's diagnosis. He was 4 months old when we got his diagnosis, and I just, I remember being in such a state of shock and disbelief, and it was just seemed horrendously sad at the time. And I couldn't even begin to think about what his future would be like, or couldn't even imagine what his life would be like. And I just had this, I didn't know anything about blindness or visual impairments. I just had this feeling that, he wasn't ever going to do anything in life that he would enjoy. Like he wouldn't be successful at anything. He wouldn't be happy. And, fast forward 11 years later, that is the furthest thing from the truth. I mean, even despite his profound autism, he's the happiest child, and just brings so much happiness to everybody around him. And I remember just a specific story. I remember, very shortly after we received his diagnosis, he was right around 4 months old. I remember there was one night where we got a babysitter to come and sit with the 3 boys, and my husband and I went out to a movie with some friends of ours. And I remember sitting there in the movie theater just being incredibly sad, because all I kept thinking was, Sean will never be able to enjoy a movie. Something as simple as, going to a movie theater and watching a movie. I thought, well, that's something he'll never be able to do. And that's just so sad. And guess what? He loves going to the movie theater and watching movies. He watches movies at home. He loves, listening to Disney movies and all kinds of different movies. But he actually loves going to the movie theater and sitting in the movie theater and listening to movies. Part of it is he loves riding the elevator up and down in the movie theater, and he loves sitting in his seat and pushing the button and reclining and sitting up and reclining. And I mean, he's kind of in his own little world in a way. But the point is, I think from a parent perspective, our children are capable of more than we might think. It's hard to let go of some of that worry. I think that's very normal for a parent, who's received any kind of diagnosis to feel that way. But our children will they'll let us know what they're capable of, and they'll find their way. They'll find their way no matter what their limitations are. They will. They still have the ability to be successful and to find happiness and figure out their way in the world. So I think, I very much agree with what Chuck and Donna were saying earlier about that.
Thank you. I think it's the popcorn that does this though. Marisol.
Yes. So everything people have said, again, really wonderful. Agree with everything. And the first thing that came to mind when the question was asked was self-advocacy. So I originally, growing up, I was a very quiet, very shy girl. My parents always were the ones to kind of speak on my behalf and say, she's visually impaired, she can't see well. And then in school, and this is kind of a piece of advice wrapped up into a little story, but in school, I was assigned a full-time aide or paraprofessional from 7th grade through high school graduation. And I relied on her 100% for almost everything academically. And because I had her, I never had to speak up. I never had to ask for anything I needed. And boy, that was the biggest hurdle I faced after high school, which is part of the reason I'm in the profession that I am now. But it took a lot of growing pains to learn to self-advocate and to teach a very shy young adult how to speak up. And I did. I eventually learned it, and I learned it by being on my own and being away from those structured supports that were always there to catch me. And I also learned by meeting other blind and low vision folks. I moved to Washington, D.C. I lived in a city. I met other people who were doing it, who were doing their life. And I was able to observe what they were role modeling and model that myself. So self-advocacy, definitely help your child or your children learn to speak up for themselves in all kinds of different ways. And also don't let them get a full-time aide. They work with their school district and your schools and your TVIs to make sure that they have access to all the right tools they need to succeed in.
Well, I just wanted to speak a little bit more about the movies in particular, because I think there's like a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of like stereotypes about blind people not enjoying movies, but like, especially with the tools available today, I mean, it's so easy. Like one thing I've been experimenting recently with is like, if you have like a ripped copy of a movie, you can essentially tell AI to like take like the frame of the movie, say like, I don't know, like once every so many times a second, and then like describe all these different frames. And then after you have the description, like what I did is I took all this and put it back through the AI and said, I read Braille at this many words per minute. Pare this down so that when I watch the movie, I'll be able to read along on my Braille display and keep up with what's going on. And so now I can like read along with the movie at like a speed that I can read Braille and like keep up with what's going on visually. You can also like, one thing that I do is like, and this is so easy with all, operating systems now, like if people don't like, just, there's descriptive video where things are being described, but you can tell your computer, okay, like take this audio track and send it through this like Bluetooth headset or this, headset and like send, the audio to like the surround sound. And that's one thing that I do is like when my friends come over, like I send the descriptive audio to like my earpiece and then like send the regular surround sound audio to like the surround sound so the friends don't have to hear it. So there's just like with the technology today, I mean, you just do anything you want to. And if you just are a little bit creative. I mean, I thought like the Braille was really interesting and like so much different than descriptive video, because you know, one of the limitations of descriptive video is that when dialogue is going on in the movie, they can't be describing things. So like having the Braille is like another channel to like read along even when like dialogue was going on. So I don't know, with a little bit of creativity and like tools that exist, because all visual impairment is really like a lack of visual information, right? So if you can figure out how to provide that information another way, you can do anything, whether it's like enjoying a movie more or like crossing the street or like walking around outdoors. You know, like doing STEM, like it's all just about like how do you replace the information you've lost visually. If you can replace it, then you can do anything you want to. If you can replace the information.
I'll pick up with what Brandon was saying about the compass, because I could not agree more that it's about the best device there is for navigation, especially for the public transportation. Because a lot of times you'll show up at a station or whatever and you need a frame of reference for where you're going. And yes, you may have a destination, but you need to know where it is geographically related to where you are. And sticking with Washington, because that's where I kind of perfected this, like on the Washington Metro when you enter and you need to go somewhere, okay, well, you need to take a train towards Virginia. Virginia's west. So you just open up the compass and then kind of point it west, and then you know where you are and where you need to walk to wait for that train to show up. And in London now, it's even better because the platforms are signed by cardinal direction. They're not signed by destination. So we'll say like District Line East. And so because they go to different places when you get far enough east, the line splits. So everybody really, regardless of the amount of vision you have, should be getting your compass out about the day. I don't know what's happening, but it is useful.
Thank you to our panel. In the interest of time, one last question? Any questions?
Oh, I'm just curious, listening to what Marisol was saying, I think you think about the doula during childbirth, where somebody to help support you and help advocate for yourself. Is there anything like that exists in the vision doula or a low vision doula, someone that kind of helps you learn how to navigate on your own and advocate for yourself rather than just being an aid to with you?
Louisa, I did not hear that question entirely, but I know it was referencing something I said.
I'm sorry.
That's
What
okay.
you said made me think of a doula during childbirth, how they help support you and help you advocate for yourself. And so it made me think if there's some sort of doula to help with someone with low vision or blindness that teaches you those tools on how to navigate on your own and advocate. So they're not quite an aid, but they're helping you to be able to do all that.
Connect. Okay. The connection seems to be a little poor, so I still didn't get the.
I'm going to jump on that answer real quick. Just in the educational setting, you could add that as a goal. So when you talk about individualized education plans, I know we don't have time, but you can put a goal in there where teachers will teach them how to advocate. You know, using social stories, role playing, and it could be specific and it can be measurable. So you want to check that data and make sure that your student is advancing in that realm. And they could be as young as 3 years old. Yeah.
Okay, I got the question based on the answer, and I agree with the answer. Yes.
Thank you, Marisol. Thank you. Yeah, in the interest of time, and Dr. Min's got his coat on to go to our tour. I don't want to hold them up, but community came up a few times. A lot of these questions are questions that we want to continue to answer offline. And I've actually developed a form here if you'd be interested in either participating in the community section or the mentorship side. Please fill this out, or if you have any questions, throw them in here. And we'll collect them before you leave today, so that we can build this, continue to build this community with folks that benefit us. Go ahead, Brandon.
I just want to say really quickly, I put my phone number in the slides, like, please feel free to like text or call me. I'll make sure Louisa sends my email address out too, but like, I love to help people with just for free, like share my knowledge about like screen readers and technology and like all different operating systems and like, you know, like orientation mobility tools, like. And I know the other folks are probably happy to help here. I don't want to speak for them, but like, I'll speak for myself and say like, if you have any questions about what I described today in my presentation, or you just like want some help or like advice, then please They'll reach out to me. So, yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to say for the people online. So you can get a lot of questions.
I echo that as well. This is Marisol. Louisa, you're more than welcome to share my contact information with folks. I'm a parent coach in my professional world, so I'm happy to support. This is a very personal topic, you know, being able to support families who have kids who are blind or low vision. So always open to support and answer any questions.
All right, we're still working with technology, but any parting words, Dr. Capella?
So for me, a huge thank you. First of all, I want to thank the PRRF team, Stephanie, Louisa, Heather, Donna. Shout out to his it was a great history lesson on the I Institute and also a great review, bring us right up to date on the technology. Thanks, Matt, and Dr. Drosty for helping out in the Q&A, and that was a masterclass, Brandon, in assistive technology. Thank you, it was fantastic, and it catalyzed a lot of the dialogue. And the panel was both practical and poignant. I really want to thank all the panelists for their contribution, and thank all of you who came today and who are with us online. This is a great family connection conference. Thanks everybody for being here.